Commander Cockings and Catafody here, yet again for another Trekyards mission briefing. You know it, it's Wednesday, you've come on YouTube, you've clicked the button, you've started watching it, you're listening to me talk, and I'm talking about fourth wall stuff, because that's what you're doing. You're looking at a screen and watching. This is getting quite long an intro, but you know what the show is, you know what we're doing. But Stuart, what exactly are we doing? What ship are we doing?
Today we're doing one of the new line of Starfleet ships. Well, yeah, I would say the new generation for first contact, and that would be the Steamrunner class, coming in at 292 meters long. It was classed as a destroyer or a heavy destroyer, and it was designed by Alex Yeager.
So talented Alex Yeager from ILM.
Yeah, much requested fan ship. So we're going to take a look at it today in mission briefing and pick it apart.
I've got the awesome Eagle Moss model. It's quite a stout ship, so it's nice and detailed. And so, for a ship that you really don't get to see much, as we said with multiple ships, actually having a physical model does change your appreciation. But I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. But this first picture is the one that you always see. It's the big press image, isn't it? And it's the ILM model. So, as I always say, what do you remember? What was your first impression thinking back to First Contact, that one battle, when it's sort of in, if you can remember? Any thoughts? Do you remember it? Is that a thing?
I don't really remember it from the first battle. I just remember seeing ships wasn't around, and I was too preoccupied with like the Defiant and the Enterprise. But yeah, over the years, it's honestly not a favorite of mine. I think it's kind of small and hideous.
Endorsement. No need to watch the rest of the episode. You've got the summary.
Yeah. What about you? What did you think?
It didn't stand out from the movie. I mean, come on, being introduced to what, 4 or 5 new ships? That's a lot.
And the Akira really stood out as one of the new ships.
Yeah, the Akira was the standout. This one I registered, but didn't think much of, and even though it's used later on in DS9, which was great, very much background. You know, you don't really get to see it. That's one of the fun things I'm doing these episodes, like with the Saber class that we've already done. It's fun to be able to try and go back to the shots, actually pick out, the little red circle of where are they, and that's always a fun thing. But it's an interesting design, so I don't have really first impression. I think, I don't remember when I sort of, it must have been the video games. It must have been Armada 1 and Armada 2. I think it was an Armada 1. When I saw it and then registered, it's from First Contact, you look at Memory Alpha and then you start to get an appreciation for it. But it's certainly a different ship. But what do you think about this first picture, the sort of the iconic still that we all sort of know as ship lovers? What do you think?
This is probably one of the best views of it.
Yeah,
in my honest opinion, because other views just absolutely don't stand up. But this is the one we see most often, so you get used to it, and it like you said, it's a very odd design, especially with the engine placements the way they are and stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll be definitely talking about that as we go through these pictures. So, but first off, it definitely has that new look to it, that new generation of ships with with those escape pods and just the hull plating, very much sovereign-like. It's got the cutout like the Nova class on the front there, a little bit different internal bits, but I mean, it's definitely that new look, and that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think this one is my least favorite out of all the new ships. So.
Yeah, I don't know if I think we need to look at them all before we get to that final, because there's also what's the Norway class. That's the last. No, which is the last one of the 4? Steamrunner, Akira, Saber, and
Norway. Yeah.
I love how different it is. There's such a fine line between feeling Trek and not Trek, and this is clearly not a Rick Sternbach design, because he was the inventor of the future, and this is so different. And I really, really like the saucer element. I like the shapes, I like the pontoons, I like the bridge module. That I like a lot. I think the integrated nacelle, or the Bassards, is really odd. You could say it's not that far a stretch from Defiant in terms of being that integrated. It's not unreasonable, and not clear it's not unreasonable because it happened. But where it loses me a little bit is this strange aft section then being completely flat. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that side view is something else, and this is a decent view. And I think if it had a secondary hull, maybe like the NX-01 or the NX-01 refit, a secondary hull that combined it all, that would maybe look a lot better. Or maybe
absolutely,
combined it and then had another set of nacelles, so it had 4 nacelles and a secondary hull. I think that could make it really work, because then you've got the integrative nature, but very Star Trek feel.
Yeah, I mean,
You'd have to see
I agree with everything. I agree with everything about that except for the extra set of nacelles. I think just a longer secondary hull that attached that back part to the bottom, like much like the Akira on that saucer section. Just having that addition would have been looked a lot better. So
yes, I do like the standout of how many blooming escape pods. It's like escape pod central, isn't it? It's like, what do you see? I see red and escape pods.
yeah.
But should we move on to the next picture then?
Yeah, let's go to the next picture. And this is it from the rear. Not again. This is one of those shots where it kind of still looks okay, I guess,
because you don't realize how thin, and you still get a sense of depth.
Yes. But the side shots are coming up later. Don't ruin it with your model. Stop that.
What's interesting is that this shot, sorry, before we started, obviously we know what the pictures are called. This one's called Digital Muse, which is one of the companies that did the DS9 stuff. So this is presumably the ILM model, which was the last picture, converted back into Lightwave and things. But the physical model I've got, which is the Eagle Moss, I believe was rebuilt, I'm not sure, has very distinct blue elements for the warp engines, has very distinct shuttle bay and impulse. This model, it looks almost like it's been hand painted. I don't know if it's actually just, I mean, it looks like a physical model almost with how badly painted it all is.
Yeah, the nacelle parts are there, they're just not glowing blue.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused by this one actually. Like, it looks like
Well, I don't have much to say about this. I mean, the detailing, the texturing on the rear of that hull where it angles down looks very odd. So I don't know.
Yeah, this is not a good picture.
Well, we got a lot of them, so
let's move on to the next picture, which is, I think you want to talk about. So Stuart, take it away.
Ugly. Samuel, on to you. No, just kidding. So this has some details here. We've got where it says design as a destroyer, but its height is a heavy destroyer.
But it's worth pointing out, where is this from? This bit in particular, because this is a quite special picture.
I believe this is page 35 of the Deep Space Nine technical manual. So this, which has its issues. We do know that there were a few size errors, at least one that cropped up with the.
Akira?
Was it the Steam? No, it wasn't the Akira. It was the Saber class, I believe. They put it the same size as one of the other ships. I can't think right offhand what it was, but yeah. So hopefully this is right. 292 sounds about right because this is a smaller ship. So like 1/3 the size of the Connie-ish. Because the Connie is what, 625 meters long?
That's the Enterprise E, you mean?
Oh, sorry. Sovereign.
Because the Connie is about 285 meters.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, just wrong ship. Sorry.
Yeah, small ship, but this is sort of what this information is to be considered almost canon because it's done by Rick, done by Doug, done by the guys who did the technical manual. So it's class 1B starship, destroyer, like you say. Now, destroyer is interesting because a destroyer, that's not really a term you ever use for Star Trek yet. Cruisers, heavy cruisers, battleships, frigates sometimes, but a destroyer? I mean, what do you know about the stereotypical role of a destroyer then in fleet warfare?
Well, all of our United States military guys are probably going to scream at me, but I don't know much. I know that destroyers are smaller ships that are very heavily armored, and I believe they're escort vessels. They're not really meant to. They're meant to be with a battleship. So this kind of fits in with the smaller size. I don't know the weapons on this.
Yeah, I don't either. I could have sworn they fired torpedoes from the bottom. I thought that was a thing in the movie, but it's a deflector. I don't see any torpedo launchers. I don't see many weapon pods at all on the entire ship. It seems very oddly, but I'm sure there's better pictures for that. But back onto the side view. What?
If you put like a curved handle on that, it would look like a Cardassian handheld weapon.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the first third, the curvature, the color palette, the facades, that looks awesome. Very nice detailed, very cool. Then it sort of continues and shrinks and then has a dip. It's like, what?
Yes. Like I said, if you take that lower part there and extended it and maybe made the bottom kind of curve down and then up into the saucer, kind of where the bizarres are, I mean, that might look kind of cool like that. It would still look very unfederation-like because you don't have like noticeable nacelles out from the hull.
Yeah,
but
you need a secondary hull of some kind, I think, a proper one.
Yeah, it falls kind of flat for me.
So. Yeah, flat. Funny, flat. But okay, so they tried to go outside the box with the first contact ships, and obviously we've got my wall of starships. But out of all the Federation ships we know, is this the most odd-looking canonical Fed? Is this the most off-kilter version?
I believe so. Yes. I mean, more so than the Defiant even. The Defiant was one piece. It was an integrated ship. It looked good. It didn't really look Federation, more or less. But this thing, just the placement of that deflector and second or like engineering section is very strange.
It's not artistically right.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I sort of I like the Saber, quite a lot. It's still weird in multiple ways, but it has sort of the side on. It's Federation. It's just a little bit to the side. This is like Federation, sort of hovering around places. I'm really glad it exists though, and I'd love to see. I mean, if this is a first run, I'd love to see the refit with the secondary hull. I mean, yeah. But shall we continue on?
Yes. So next picture is the Steamrunner revamp, 1996, and I do know that there were quite a few concept versions of this ship prior to the finalized one. Some are kind of bigger engines on the top kind of thing, but this one I think fixes all the problems that I have with the finished Steamrunner. It puts the nacelles on the bottom. It adds the deflector and stuff on top, which I think feels better. And I love the way the saucer goes down like that for the front view. I think that's really cool. Yeah, great new design.
That front view is really nice. Really nice.
But did you notice the side view? The front looks almost exactly like the new Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, it looks like a lot of things. It's sort of a simple shape. You can see where they're sort of going with this integration, but I do think, because this sort of thing, the flatness of the bottom makes it feel like a speeder, like a very, like it was going to zoom through the air. Whereas put on the bottom, it gives it a much more clunky feel, like it's now going to clunk. Yeah. So I think, this would have worked really well, and I would love to have seen it. And then when you've got the front view, there's less chance of radiation with the whole bridge, whatever. I know people have issues with that. But integrating it into the bottom means theoretically you can have some sort of dedicated shielding for that bit, and I don't know. This is a great concept.
Yeah, this is one I would have liked to see, because even from the side view, it does feel more Federation to me.
It's still a way off, but it's but
it's a cool evolution of what we did get. Like I don't know why they chose that one specifically. I think this is a much better new era kind of ship.
I think
not clunky.
And you could easily put a secondary hull on the bottom of this as well and make it even more smooth and elegant and really. I mean, imagine if you had a Sovereign style front secondary hull going back, then either attaching to the bottom the deflector or not. I mean, that would make it really. That would be. I'd love to see someone do that. That would be great.
Yeah. The thing I've always thought about the Steamrunner is it has a lot of potential. Yes. And there's a lot of things you can add to it to make it look like a fantastic Federation ship. Yes. But as is, it just seems like an unfinished product.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because they wanted it to be different, and it's very different, and it works still in its own way because we know it's canon. If you know what I mean, I don't think like if this was one of the 2017 ships or a JJ ship, we'd be like, But we know that Alex Yeager loves the show, put a lot of thought in, so we sort of accept it a bit more. But I think, this one would really fit the bill better, and looks like a secondary hull, and you could really deck it out better. But this is the concept. So, the next image, which is a part of a scale chart. This one says 313 meters, a little bit different to the other one. And you can see it next to the Saber, the Intrepid.
It doesn't have the Norway and stuff on here. It's just partial of the... but you do get I don't know, 313 isn't correct, though.
No, it was two something earlier. I mean, it feels about right compared to the Akira, but not sure.
Yeah.
It seems oddly sized compared to the Intrepid. Like, it feels like it should be smaller than the Intrepid.
Yeah, it does, because I think it was 292 for the other link, so just a little bit shorter than that. So, but welcome to Trekyards, everyone. Let's research a ship. What do we do first? Dimensions. Oh, guess what? There's a problem. I get so sick of hearing that and seeing that, and everything that I research. That's why we mention it in almost every episode. So there are size issues,
and I show it in beautiful graphics and show how it does and doesn't work, and just. I think we're lucky it's all as consistent as it is. That's what we should take away from this, guys.
Let's be thankful for what we have.
And Trekyards, who brings it to you even more.
Yes. As the nostalgia critic says, we remember it so you don't have to. Or we researched it so you don't have to.
I render it so you don't have to.
Exactly. But you can enjoy it.
And Stuart looks at books for hours and hours so you don't have to.
Oh, I go bug-eyed. Books, web pages, everything. Anyway, next. And this is the top view, the dorsal view. It's kind of neat looking from the top. I really don't have much of an issue with it from the top. But from the side, it's almost it's not three-dimensional enough for me. It's very
much so.
Yeah, but from the top, it definitely feels Federation.
Yes, it just feels like the integrated style. Well, what I really noticed about this is that obviously I've got the model and it doesn't have many details it's pointing out really comparative. So one thing it does have in front of the USS Appalachii, whatever, it has a phaser array. Well, if you look at the physical model, it's only got a phaser array there, and there, and I don't see any on the back or bottom. So from what I can see, it's got 3 phaser arrays and no torpedo launchers. And that's not a good firing arc, and that is a very small phaser array, considering if it's about the same size as the Intrepid, that's got a full saucer. I would expect to have seen a full saucer one. Very, very short. That implies very not well armed.
Or at the very least, some at the back. But then again, we could on the bottom view, which we have in a second, we might see some there facing rear, which might be fine. Yeah, that kind of yeah. It's just odd, the choices they made for this ship.
Well, it's one of those things that they could probably cut some corners. I mean, come on, they knew Trek fans and they're ILM. People, really look at ILM stuff. But at some point they've got to say, it's a background ship, no one will ever see it again. And then someone says, oh, can we nick the model for DS9? They're like, yeah, okay. Oh, can we make a website because the internet exists and put it on that? It's like, okay. And then it blows up. So maybe they didn't think it would ever go any further. But
still no excuse for designing a bad ship.
It's not a bad ship, but what's canon is canon for all these things, and to have that limited weaponry is a very odd choice. But the next picture, which is, as we say, the aft bottom, I mean, and I was wondering. So, obviously, this is based off the studio model, and it has USS Appalachii, whatever, NCC 5213.
Appalachia.
Thank you. On the top in red text, which is black and red is what Federation starships have. On the bottom, with the reverse things, they are blue numbers, and it also says United Federation of Planets underneath, which, as far as I know, is a very odd choice for starships. I don't know any that have that text, that colour. I mean, small things, but it's odd to make such a different, unique choice.
Well, I mean, yeah, that color is very odd. United Federation Planets is sort of odd on a ship this size. I know the refit has it along the secondary hull.
Yeah, but not underneath. Next to the registry though. Like in this.
Oh, I know.
So it's got it there, the red pinstriping bit.
Yeah. Again, another weird choice, and I don't see any phaser arrays on the bottom.
I mean, surely if it's this flat, why not deck it out and then you can be, flying over a thing and just letting go with weapons. I mean, if you're having it this flat for a reason,
or have a attachment point on the bottom of the saucer that you could attach different modules to, a fighter module, a carrier module, a torpedo package, a cargo module, something like you could be a multi-purpose ship. It could really be, the new Ptolemy class from TOS.
The problem with that though is that the deflector, I'm assuming the deflector needs some sort of line of sight, and it's kind of what?
True, but then go back to the other design concept where it's up above, and it would have been way better.
One thing again I noticed on this, the amount of escape pods, and again we said that already for the top. Do you think that might imply that this is more of a troop carrier? Because a smaller ship, and I think what did Rick say, 6 or was it 9 per escape pod?
It's 8 people, I think.
Close enough.
9 probably in a pinch.
And you can see the shuttle bay doors, so we know roughly the size and things. So maybe they just have marines and things. Maybe it's someone to board other ships, and therefore you need the escape pod capacity to fill that, because it's a lot of escape pods for a relatively small ship.
Well, for that kind of thing, I can understand the design, to be honest. The Akira and the Norway, and everything else goes in first, clears out the enemies. This one comes in with the troops and lands on the planet to maintain the stronghold or whatever. I kind of get that, but then it doesn't fit that heavy destroyer vibe for me. It just the destroyer moniker doesn't work for me in that case. I picture destroyer as something that can destroy. This just doesn't seem to have that feel.
This is one of those ones that I think you need to talk to Alex Yeager and say, Alex, what did you originally envision in terms of role for this ship? Because it's fine that someone later on says, it's a destroyer. And we're like, what's a destroyer? They're like, it sounds good. Heavy destroyer, yes. Okay, but maybe his intention was this, that, or in between, so...
And we do know with the new dichotomy for the Starfleet ships, they break it up. So you got the Saber, the Norway, the Steamrunner, and the Akira all have different mission profiles, essentially. They take one ship, break it down into different smaller ships, and they're supposed to work together. And we know the Saber well. Supposedly the Saber had a lot of scientific capabilities, and a lot of people have complained that they think the Saber is more of the attack craft, which makes sense with the amount of weapons and stuff it has. So is this more of the science ship to fill that niche?
I don't think that they thought this far ahead. I think I think they're all attacky ships. I mean, they're all just there to fight because it's the battle we saw them fight. I mean, you can't take it out of that context. We never saw them in a role doing anything else, so it's very difficult to say.
Yeah, I get it.
So that is it for this week's Trekyards, guys. Hope you loved it.
Tune in again for the continuation. Keep your eyes peeled, because it's coming.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
Me too.
Me too.
Bye, everybody.